Network, we can help make your talk radio dreams happen. Let's take your hopes, dreams, and passions and put them on air today. Email us at host@transformationtalkradio.com.
Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail.
Hey everybody, welcome. We got a great show for you today. I am so honored to have Erica Gifford Mills on the show today, host of her own amazing show. And here's why I'm really excited about this. In today's show episode, what we're going to take on is Stop Waiting for Permission, How Women Rise When They Use Their Voice with Erica Gifford Mills. Now, Erica, I want to come out of the gate and I just want to tell you a little story. I created, every year we have a little theme on the network.
Yep.
I don't know what it was about this year, but something has taken over the energy of where I want the network to go. So the line, the little tagline as we call it, is very simple. I made up this word, it's called unmissable. So our tagline says, the Transformation Network in 2026, this is our credo, to be unmissable, unforgettable, and unapologetically visible.
Yes.
Now, how, why, where that came from, you're going to help us talk about. Because it's an energy. And the same energy is what you have, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. We have to stop waiting for permission. And it is an incredibly important message for women right now because so many women are already leading, but they're still questioning whether they're allowed to fully step into their voice. And they're waiting until they feel ready or confident enough or qualified enough. And they're waiting for that external validation before they trust their internal knowing. And really leadership. And when I talk leadership, I mean, whether it's in the boardroom, the living room, the community, the PTA, wherever that is, leadership doesn't come from permission. It comes from decision. And the moment a woman decides her voice matters, she stops shrinking and she stops second guessing and she starts showing up differently. And we need more of that in the world. And it's what I've seen over and over again is that when a woman stops waiting for permission, she doesn't just change her own life, she changes every room she walks into.
Yeah. I want to tell you, I did a show and I mentioned the statistics and I got more like emails about it. But I'm going to say it again. In 2025, the number of women that either left the workplace or lost their jobs, and they stopped counting in August. We were up to 450,000. Now, if you go to Forbes and you take a look at what Forbes said, they're saying women made up nearly all the job losses last month. And this is the January edition. And so if there was ever a time, help me out here, for us to believe that silence is not golden, and we really do need to speak up. If it's not now, then when?
Oh, exactly. I mean, we're always going to be waiting, right? Waiting for tomorrow, waiting for the better time. We need to use our voices now. And I mean, I feel like there are times when women don't want to use their voices. I mean, they're capable and they're accomplished, but they hesitate.
Yeah.
And I think many have spent their lives being valued for what they do, not necessarily encouraged to fully express who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that we have to do that. They've learned to perform, to achieve, to succeed, but visibility requires something deeper. And that vulnerability and using our voice means we're being heard, we're being seen. And that can also come from fear, whether it's fear of judgment or fear of being seen or fear of not being enough. And I think the truth is that their voice isn't valuable because it's perfect. None of us are perfect.
Oh,
It's
no.
valuable because it's real, and we
Yeah.
have to be more authentic, right? Once we understand that, and then understand that our voice isn't about proving ourselves, but a way of expressing ourselves, we can begin to step forward in a completely different way.
Oh, okay. I want to get to you for a minute because you and I can talk about this till we're green, right?
Yes.
But, Gloria Steinem said something to me a lot of years ago, and she said, listen, we stand on the shoulders of all that come before. And I believe we have found a gap in the past couple of years. But now what I'm seeing is people such as yourself. You're an international coach, you're an entrepreneur, you have a vision. And now we're not just talking about this. You've created the International Women's Speaker
Yes.
Summit. So let's talk about what got you there. What was it that you were seeing where you said, oopsie, I got to do more?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I created the International Women Speaker Summit because I saw how many women were ready, but maybe didn't realize it. They weren't lacking that ability. They were lacking belief in themselves. And the International Women Speaker Summit gives women the tools, the platform, and the support to step into their voice.
Yeah.
But I think more importantly, it helps them step into their identity as leaders. And it's not about turning women necessarily into speakers. I mean, yes, that is definitely one of it. It's about helping them recognize they already have something worth saying. Because when they believe that, again, everything changes.
And that really points back to why we really need to look at and stop waiting for permission. Talk about how that manifests, because I know how it's manifesting for me, right? Even right now in a little bit of a situation. But this is bigger. I mean, it's almost as if we do more waiting than we do decision making.
Yes. So I know, I'll make this an I statement, is that when I saw the change, right, it didn't come from a moment of achievement. It came from a moment of transformation. Loss and adversity have a way of stripping away everything that isn't real.
Yeah.
And they really force you to reevaluate who you are, what matters, and how you want to show up in the world. And I realized that leadership wasn't about the titles or the accomplishments or the accolades. It was about presence. It was about choosing to live, lead, and speak in a way that honors my truth. And I saw that so many women were carrying wisdom and experience and insight, but they were keeping it to themselves. And so that's when I knew that the summit needed to exist, not just to teach women how to speak, but to really recognize that their voice could be part of their legacy. And so when we started looking at what do we need to do, how do we need to stop asking for permission, it's not that we're asking, we have to ask ourselves, because that's usually the person who's stopping us, is ourselves from stepping out and being vulnerable.
I went back to the original date that the idea to start the Transformation Network, it just popped in. It wasn't like I sit around doing nothing, right? I don't think you do that either. But you ever have a moment where you're doing something? I was playing table tennis, my sport. And I walked away from the table just to take a breath. And I flashed back to 2001, where the first idea for the Transformation Network came up. And myself and Mary Verplank laid out the design of how it would look in community. And it hit me. And I said, the way that I talk to Spirit, what the bleep are you doing showing me that in the middle of this winning point that I need to have for my game? Well, not one, that's how the universe knows to get my attention, but it wants me to rethink the direction that we're going, the design we have, and look back and ask, this was your vision. What is stopping you from doing it? And it's all about the permission.
Yes.
I'm not sure who I would ask, but that you get what I'm saying.
It is. And I mean, and like I said, it's not always another person
Right.
that's stopping you. It's yourself, because it's that limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, maybe something from your childhood that people were saying you're not good enough, or it's just those around you that might be like looking at you like, you doing what? I mean, I've had it. I've had people look at me going, you're going to do what? And that's okay. They don't have to understand my
Yeah.
decision. It's not their decision to make. It's mine. And we have to be comfortable enough to go past that.
Yeah. There's a phrase in our society. I'm going to ask you this question because I used to use this phrase all the time until I Googled it. And it's the phrase rule of thumb. And the minute I found out what that meant and when it was used, it was in reference to a husband's force or control over his wife. That's the way an expert told me. That's what it was about. So forget all the Googling. That's the expert telling me. And the minute I heard that, I'm like, I am not using that phrase again.
Yes.
But it leads me to really say, silence is not golden now. I don't care what golden age we're going into now. The message for women, and this is where you're helping them, this is where we're helping them. We have to find a pathway for their voice. What do you suggest?
Start with trusting yourself. Your story matters. I look at it, it's not just about influence, it's about healing. When a woman speaks her truth, she reclaims parts of herself that she may have silenced for years. And speaking allows her to process those experiences, to find meaning in what she's lived through, and to transform pain into purpose. I mean, that's where I did a lot of it. Not only my writing, I never wanted to be an author. Like, that's not something I dreamt of. I wrote for my own healing perspective, which then just turned into a book. But same thing for speaking. For me, it creates healing. And it also found that it created healing for others, because there's always someone listening who sees themselves in your story, and someone who feels less alone, someone who feels hope because, you had the courage to speak. And if what I talk about can help somebody else, give them permission to say, I'm not alone, I can do this too, and I can heal from this. Voice is not just a leadership tool. It's a healing tool. It connects us and reminds us that we're not alone. And that's where the real impact begins, when women step up on that stage and can share their story.
Now, let's talk about the summit for a minute, because there are going to be people that step out and there are going to be people that step up. And we're going to let's just talk about the challenge about that. See, I don't think you and I are saying it's easy to step out.
Oh, no.
We're not saying that. But what we're saying is there's an ultimatum. There's an ultimatum about becoming visible. And the ultimatum is, if you don't become visible, what are you? And so can you talk a little bit about the idea of the summit and how this provides the remedy to get us going?
Yeah, I think, it's about transformation, because the transformation is internal. When you are brave enough to step forward, and it's not going to be easy. Like you said, it's not like you just go, oh, okay. It's going to be hard, but anything worthwhile is. And just like when you're healing, it's a process. You have to trust the process. It might be messy, but at the end, you do feel this big relief. So if we stop minimizing ourselves and we start trusting ourselves, the transformation helps carry them. It's not only just that day, it's the future. All of a sudden, their shoulders are a little bit back further, their heads are a little bit higher. And once that shift happens, it carries into every area of your life. And you become more authentic. You become more aligned with your purpose. And the presence that you show in any room is undeniable. And that's because you are no longer hiding. So what I envision is that this is going to become a global catalyst for elevating women's voices. Yeah. Again, not just on a stage, on a podcast, in a boardroom, in the living room, in the communities, in industries, and in everyday conversations that shape all of our lives.
Yeah. I want to ask you this question. I want to get back to it because, you work with women. I certainly work with all of y'all on the network, but I'm so interested in the work that you do about what happens. What do you see when women start, well, when they stop waiting and start filling your own blank?
Yeah, what I feel like when women speak, right? When we speak, we lead, whatever. I say speak, it could be right, it could be whatever. They bring perspective, they bring empathy, they bring strength, and they bring truth. When I say lead like a woman, I'm not saying that men are, that we're better than men. I'm saying we have a different perspective. Being women is our superpower. Let's use it. Let's be that vulnerable. Let's have that conversation wherever it is so that we can be authentic and true. And when more women step into that visible leadership, we don't just change the individual's lives, we change what leadership looks like for the generations to come.
Yeah. In the United States and North America, and I'm not an expert on countries, so I'm not going to like pinpoint countries.
Yeah.
But there are countries where we have the ability to speak, or it's the perceived freedom to speak. What we
Yeah.
really have is the freedom to choose. What I'm struck by, let me give you one example. Malala Yousafzai, who got shot in the head a bunch of times and didn't shut up. She still went back to educating. Dr. Nushin Darvish, who's from Persia, who grew up in a very, very tough environment. And with women, they stop educating them over there if you're of the Baha'i faith. We see this over and over again. The latest in the United States is stripping women from their careers in the hundreds of thousands. And by the way, my stat people tells me most of them are women of color. But here's where we are. This is not a time to retreat.
No, no. I mean, visibility is our responsibility, right? If we don't have the stage, then we build it. If we're not getting a seat at the table, pick a different table and sit at it. It's our responsibility to be visible. And if you're deciding that you don't think you're ready or you want to wait for the perfect time, there's never going to be a perfect time. There really isn't. Something's going to come up. So stop waiting and go, move forward. We need more people to be loud.
Yeah, I want to pause for a minute because I want people to know that this isn't just about you speaking and being an author. You work with women. So
Yes.
I want to make sure that we let everybody know, how do we find out about you? How do they get to work with you? You're a certified coach and so much more. But I could not be here if I did this alone. There's no way that I'm here. I have multiple coaches. I had a phenomenal healing session 10 days ago. I know I need help. And I want to ask all of you women listening to this show, I know you're independent. I know you're fierce. I really do. But even Wonder Woman needed help. And so how do people find out? How do they work with you, Erica? And the bottom line is, how do they find more about the summit? What's the pathway here?
So if you're looking specifically on the summit, you can go to International Women Speakers with an S summit.com/offers. That will give you all the information on the summit itself. If
Awesome.
you are looking to attend just as a attendee, it's the same, except for instead of offers, it's attendee. If you want to get me and talk to me, you can message me right here at the show. You can also go on any social media. It's EA Gifford Mills or Erica Gifford Mills. LinkedIn, it's Erica Gifford Mills. Also, my business site's Balanced Symmetry, that's TREE.com.
Absolutely. And Emily is also putting signs up on the screen, and folks are going to hear a lot more about the summit because, let me digress. You're also the host of your own show here. Tell everybody about that.
Yeah. Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. It's first and third Monday of every month at 4 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Pacific. You definitely want to tune in. We've had some amazing guests,
Oh
other
my God.
coaches, authors, speakers, And I'm doing a few other special ones for a event I have coming up in July.
So people don't know this. You and I have known each other for a while, right? I'm not good with time. That's because I'm like a
Like
quadruple
7 years.
Sagittarius.
It's like
Yeah.
been 7 years.
It's been a long time. But I remember originally working with you and coming and just watching the evolution of Get Rooted, right? There are moments that I'm reflecting on now. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the energy, but I'm reflecting. And that's why we wanted to reach back out and talk to you. And this is not the only conversation we're going to have about the summit. We're going to help you promote it. I want to ask you this. This is not a question I ask a lot because I'm Patty Pollyanna Patty. But I want to know what the heartbreak is here that you're seeing because I'm seeing it and I feel it.
Well, so in September of 2024, my son, who was in the United States Marine Corps, took his own life. And from that moment on, I decided visibility and, well, without sounding cliche, life is too short. And if I could not promote mental health advocacy for active military and veterans, if I could not do that, if I couldn't be seen. And so I was like, gung ho, let's go, let's do this, because I never thought that would happen.
Yep.
I was blindsided, and I don't want anybody else to have to get that call. I don't want anybody else to feel that they have no other way. And for me, it's then we need to be loud and we need to get out there. We need to speak, and on whatever the topic is, right? So, I speak on women's empowerment, leadership, visibility, boundaries, but personally, it's mental health advocacy for active military and veterans. That's my personal advocacy. And if we can't do that, if we're silent.
We cannot. And I had to ask you that question because early on in my career, when the show was Crust Busting, I was struck by the lack of support for the military. And I come from a military family. The only reason I did not go in the military is because my parents would not sign the form because they thought, God, please don't give this 17-year-old a gun. That's the reason that I didn't get in the Air Force. I'm much different now, so you don't have to worry. But friends, family. And I remember meeting with Congressman Jim McDermott and the director of the VA in Seattle. And Jim was a great guy. But what I realized is we have to figure out a way outside of the rules and the regulations to provide support. You and I are exposed to so many things for mental health. And so that's why our focus, and especially mine this year, because my mom committed suicide. That's why for me, the biggest decision I'm having is whether to put mental health under the wellness channel or make it its own channel.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't matter whether it's my mom, your son, those 500,000 plus women that had to leave. You and I have to do something. Give me the Erica Gifford Mills vision for 2026.
Oh, for 2026, it's be louder than the silence, both personally and professionally. Be louder so that the stigma is no longer a stigma. It's a part of everyday conversation for mental health awareness. And also be louder, meaning get more visible, get out there. Your voice doesn't have to be literally louder. Your visibility, your responsibility in that needs to get louder, because if you aren't seen, you aren't known, and you can't do anybody any good by hiding in the shadows.
Your show is super powerful. What I've noticed in last year, because I had a personal shift in my own life, which I'm not going to talk about here. I'm trying to figure out how I want to describe it. I actually blame it being the year of the wood snake. Hello. But the shift enabled me to let go of some things and move on to getting back to what my heart called me here to do and what spirit guided me to do. And so what I want to ask you is, again, when are we going to start to see more on the summit? How do we get people engaged? What kind of support do you want? How can we help you?
Yeah, I would say to any woman listening right now who knows she's meant for more, but is still waiting, I would tell her this: first, stop waiting. You don't need to feel ready. You only need to be willing, because your voice matters, not because someone else says it does, but because it's yours. And the moment you stop waiting for permission and choose yourself, you step into the life you were meant to live. Because when you speak or write or whatever it is that you want to do, you don't just change your life. You change the room, and when the rooms change, the world shifts. So learn more about the summit. Go to internationalwomenspeakerssummit.com/offers. You can DM me, you can private message me, you can go to any of my Balanced Symmetry accounts and ask for information. I'm happy to do a one-on-one call with you so we can figure out our next steps. But it is May 16th. There's going to be an accelerator before it for 6 weeks prior. We'll get some virtual training, and then we'll actually have the event in May 16th in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's coming up shortly, and it's only limited to 15 speakers, and spots are filling up fast. So if you have any interest whatsoever, don't wait, because they're going to go fast.
I really appreciate everything you do. And you know, you are what Gloria Steinem talked to me about. You are not only standing on the shoulders that have come before, but you have created very strong shoulders for others to stand on. And you are a role model in 2026, when most role models in the arena of women's growth have gone silent. And I hope that your message, my message, brings them out of the shadows. Because if we don't do it, I'm not sure who does. And for those of you out there, our Epic Women channel will be full born in about 8 weeks. It's up, it's running, but we're planning to do something super engagement-wise, quizzes, places for you to go. It's much bigger than just a podcast channel. Why? I don't need to say why. Erica did. And Erica, what's your website for people that want to work with you?
It's Balanced Symmetry, BALANCEDSYMMETREE.com.
I love it. Thank you so much for today. We're going to be talking more.
Yes, we are.
And Transformation Network is here to support Erica, the summit, and all of you out there. Thank you for tuning us in and turning us on. We'll see you next time.